Union City Chamber of Commerce presents the Union City Arts Festival October 10th, 11th, and 12th in Union City, Indiana. Experience culinary, visual, music, and performing arts. More at unioncityartsfestival.org.
Support for Arts Weekly is provided by PBS 39, the Hour Foundation, Martin Tierney, and the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne.
This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is produced in cooperation with the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design.
Welcome to Arts Weekly. I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. We are so fortunate to live in an area with strong theater community. Today we'll be focusing on two theaters, one local and one regional. In the second half of the show, Rachel Mondragon from the Wagon Wheel Theater in Warsaw will be here to tell us about their upcoming fall schedule. But first, I'm pleased to welcome my friend Craig Humphrey of the IPFW Department of Theater, who is directing the first production of the year, The Fantastics. Craig, welcome to Arts Weekly, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, John. Glad to be here.
We're old hats at this little sit across the table.
Long time.
Long time we've done this conversation.
Yes.
But for our viewers who are new to Arts Weekly, tell us a little bit about your background in the theater and what brought you to IPFW.
All right. Well, I am currently the interim chair of the theater at IPFW.
Which I just want to say I'm very thankful for. Doing a great job.
Thank you. I have been here. This is starting my 24th year. I came in fall of '91 as the assistant professor of costume design, and been here since, and have still work in costumes, but also in musical theater and teaching and directing. And before I was here, I spent 3 years at the University of Mississippi and a little time freelancing in Pennsylvania as a costume designer. And been here for a long time.
Right,
so.
And you did some, in that freelancing time, you worked with some nice Broadway costume designers.
I had the terrific opportunity to be the assistant designer for the original off-Broadway,
just completely through.
Burn This. Lanford Wilson's Burn This.
Burn This, right.
But the company, the company that produced all of
Circle Rep.
Circle Rep, thank you.
Yes.
With their production of Burn This, as assistant to Laura Crow, who is a regional, national, internationally well-known designer. That was a terrific opportunity. Got to work with the late Lanford Wilson and John Malkovich, Joan Allen. That was a terrific experience.
Fantastic. Well, Circle Rep was quite a theater in its time in the 70s and 80s.
It was.
I worked a little bit there in the end of the 80s before they went defunct, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure I had something to do with that.
Well, I was there at the same time.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, there we go. We're both a little
late
bit.
80s,
There we go.
yes.
Yeah. But you're also an actor. You started
every now
out
and
in
again,
acting.
started
Now
out
and
as an
again,
actor,
you were in my
yes.
production of Noises Off. You did a
Right.
fantastic job. So I was just thinking about that the other day. I thought, wait a minute, Craig's actor, director, costume designer extraordinaire. That's fantastic.
Well, it's jack of all trades.
A man of the theater.
Master of none.
Exactly. I do a little bit of some of them pretty well.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you are, as you said, interim chair of theater. And you are directing the first production of 5, which is
The Fantastics by Harvey Jones and Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt. The longest running musical ever.
Right.
Ran off-Broadway for over 45 years. Closed briefly and has reopened again and is still running in New York.
I have to say that I lived in New York, for quite some time in the theater, and it used to be sort of a joke going, have you been in the Fantastics yet? That's the beginning of your career.
Right.
You got to get in the Fantastics, and then you'll move uptown.
You move on, yes.
Everybody's had a run through the Fantastics.
Right.
Because it's a great play, It's a fantastic.
It's a perennial favorite. I mean, audiences love it. I love it. This is the second time directing it.
Oh, really?
I did it when we did it in 1996, which was the last production. Our season this year is 5 shows representing the 5 decades of theater at IPFW. And so we're doing shows, all the shows of this season have been done before, And
that's part of IPFW's 50th celebration
exactly,
of
yes.
Their 50 years as an institution.
Right, and the theater department's been there from day one. And
Absolutely.
The Fantastics is actually the one production that has been produced more often than any others at IPFW.
Oh,
this will be the 4th production. And like I said, I had the opportunity to do it the last time, and so.
Right. I remember the discussions of what we might do for the 50th, and the first thing out of your mouth was the Fantastics. We
Yes,
could always do the Fantastics. Well, there's some. It's good for a university setting because it's not a large cast.
Right.
And it has legitimately young people in it. That sort of revolves around young people. So
Yes.
it's a good vehicle for young performers.
It is, it is. And it's challenging work for them as well. And I've got a great cast, all majors except one alum, which is great in this anniversary season.
Well, it fits in the season of celebrating 50 years. I think
Yes.
there'll be alumni, hopefully, in most of our 5 productions.
I hope so.
For the
Yes.
for the season. Where are you performing at? What theater are you going to be in?
This will be in our studio theater, which is actually where it was the last time. As well, all previous productions of Fantastics have been over there when that was the only theater.
Right, right.
So.
Why that choice?
Because it's small, it's intimate, and Fantastics is a very intimate show. The Williams would have been a nice space for it, but there's something even nicer about it being as close as it is over in the studio theater.
I've seen the Fantastics several times, and I can say that the one production I saw that was in large scale was not as successful as the ones that I've seen that are intimate. I think the nature of it being off-Broadway and being in that little Playhouse Square that it was, that Playhouse Theater that was in originally, you know, sort of cries out that it be performed that way in any other kind of venue, because it's just not, it's not a big musical splashy, it's very intimate, the songs are touching, and the dialogue is intimate and close. And
it's about being simple.
Right.
The entire approach to the show, as traditionally done, and I'm doing it in a very traditional fashion, is that it's very intimate, or very simple. There's very little set, the costumes aren't remotely extravagant. It's really about that story.
And it's cast already. Who's helping you who's on your team?
My musical director is Mindy Cox, who has been my musical director for the last several years, and she and I have a terrific working relationship. And our instrumental music is being handled by Holly Knott, who also works with us on a regular basis.
It's important to have a team that you can come back to. I find when I do musicals, I like to work with people that I've worked with before. You there's just a short conversation you can get to. You can say things to each other very quickly. You know what you mean. You begin to build a working relationship that's both in style and in communication very familiar.
Exactly. And Mindy and I have now been doing this for about 8 or 9 years together.
And she's so good.
Yeah. And she and I we work in the same fashion.
Exactly.
And it makes it very easy for us.
Right.
And enjoyable.
Right.
Which is so important. But
yeah. And so it's in this, I've not seen a musical in the studio.
There haven't been that many. And I've done the last 3. The last musical in there was a show that no one knows called Flora the Red Menace. If it's known, it's only known because it was Liza Minnelli's first starring role in New York. I did a production of that in '03. Yes, and before that, it was the 1996 production of The Fantastics.
Right, and I would bet a lot of our viewers will know the Studio Theater as the Pit Theater.
Yes.
Right, that's how most of our viewers, when we say we're going to the Studio Theater, I usually have to translate and say, well, okay, the Pit Theater.
Yes.
So that is the theater that has been around since 1964. Bob Tolan, who started the theater department in 1964, did his first production in that space, which they called the Purdue, Indiana Theater, hence Pitt Theater. And I just recently learned, as we begin to get ready for our celebration, that Bob Tolan successfully stole that space away from a communications teacher who was going to make it into a TV studio.
Yes.
And so he just moved his rehearsal in there and put some bleachers up and said, we're doing a play in here. And the poor TV guy walked in and said, hey, this was supposed to be a dedicated TV studio. He said, too bad, we got a show opening. You're out. And henceforth, it's been a theater ever since. So way to go, Bob Tolan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
That was our space when I came here in '91. Right. That was our only space. And the Williams Theater opened 2 years later. So.
So where do how many musicians do you have for the Fantastics?
Only 3. It's scored for piano, harp, and percussion. We've unfortunately not been able to locate a harpist, so we're doing it with 2 keyboards and percussion.
Okay. And they will be where?
Right next to the set, in full view of the audience, right next to us.
Is the set a proscenium set?
It is,
Or is
yes.
it is a proscenium set?
I'm doing it in a traditional end staging proscenium fashion.
Right, great,
yes.
great. What are the particulars with regard to that production? What are the dates?
We open September 12th, and we have performances 2 weekends through September 20th.
And the ticket information is?
Available through the IPFW box office, 260-481-6555.
Or they can get tickets online at ipfw.edu/tickets.
Yes.
So that's the Fantastics. We have a little time left. Let's just run through the season that you guys have planned for the rest of the year.
Gladly, gladly. Fantastics is in September. In the beginning of October, we have the classic Tennessee Williams American Institution of the Glass Menagerie.
Beautiful play.
Lovely play, directed by Jeff Casaza. And then that's followed by The Imaginary Invalid.
The Imaginary Invalid, a classic which not everybody's heard of, but we'll get them there.
Yes, directed by
the
John
one and
O'Connell.
only John O'Connell, that's
Yes.
right.
And that will also be, opening night of that will be our true celebration of our 50th.
November 14th.
November 14th.
Is an alumni celebration,
Yes.
and the public's invited as well.
Absolutely.
But there'll be a reception and a celebration prior to it.
And that Imaginary Invalid was the very first show
Right.
ever produced at IPFW in November of 1964, and we're doing it in November of 2014.
Right.
Second semester, our new incoming chair of theater, Dr. Beverly Redman, will be directing Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean. And then we close out the season in April. I'm once again directing the Stephen Sondheim, George Firth musical, Merrily We Roll Along.
So 2 musicals this year.
2
which
musicals,
is a little bit
yes. Ambitious.
out of our norm.
Yes.
No, but that's good. Audiences love musicals.
Right.
And you do a fine job. with
And
it,
we
so.
have a musical theater emphasis with a lot of terrific students now, and it's another opportunity for them to get to ply their trade.
Right, and it's important for recruiting to tell people that we're not afraid, to tell new students that we're not afraid to do more than 1 musical a
Right.
year if we have
Right.
the talent for it. And we certainly have the talent for
We
it in
do.
our program
We
now
do.
for 2 musicals. And we certainly appreciate you stepping up to the plate and taking over both of them and
Glad to do
leaving
it.
me with the old horse. Thank you for that, Craig. I so appreciate it. No, I'm having a good time with it. Now, I think
Good.
both of them are in rehearsal right now. We know Fantastics is, and Glass
Glass
Menagerie is also in
Menagerie
rehearsal.
started Monday night. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I look forward to the Fantastics. It's 2 weeks away, and I can't wait to see a musical in the Pit Theater.
All right.
Never experienced that. Please take this minute to enjoy our performance calendar of what's coming up in our area, and I'll be right back with Rachel Mondragon from the Wagon Wheel Theater in Warsaw. The Wagon Wheel Theater in Warsaw is a regional treasure and traces its roots back to the 1950s. It has come a long way over the years, and I'm pleased to welcome Rachel Mondragon to Arts Weekly today to talk about their great upcoming season. Rachel, welcome to Arts Weekly, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. This is a treat.
Well, it's our first time together on Arts
Yes,
Weekly.
it is.
And I can't wait to hear all about Warsaw and the Wagon Wheel. But first, I'll talk a little bit about you, Rachel. What is your background in the theater?
Well, I grew up in the theater department. I started acting at 4 and grew up acting ever since I could get on a stage, I was there.
How does someone begin at 4?
My mom put me in an acting class at the local university back in Albuquerque, and I absolutely loved it. And I was in every church camp you could find. I mean, through elementary school, middle school, and lived in the theater department in high school and college.
And so you're from New Mexico?
I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, and where did you go to college?
Hanover College, about 4.5 hours south of here.
Oh yeah, do they have a pretty strong theater program?
We do have a pretty strong theater department.
Yeah, and what brought you to Warsaw?
I met my fiance at Hanover, and he got a job managing the Warsaw airport. And when he got his job, it was pretty clear that we needed to stay in Warsaw for a little while. And I got very lucky finding the Wagon Wheel and finding a job where I not only get to use my degrees, but my love of theater all at the same time.
Right. So do you have multiple degrees?
I do. I was a double major. I finished both of my majors in 4 years, in sociology and in business.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's terrific. And you are, what is your position at Wagon Wheel?
I'm the Director of Marketing and Fund Development.
All right, and Fund Development is a little bit new for Warsaw because they've only been a not-for-profit organization for the last 3 or 4 years.
This is coming up on 3 years now.
Okay.
It's very new for us. The theater was owned and it was a business, but now we're a non-for-profit with a business model, which is new, but it's been good for us.
Right. I teach theater management, and one of the things that I teach my students is that close to 96% of theaters that are not in New York City have to be non-for-profit in order to survive, because many of them only make 40 to 60% of their income on ticket sales. So that other 40% has to come by donation or foundation support. So I can see why they decided to go that route 3 or 4 years ago. And so as a marketing director, you get the word out.
I do. I try as hard as I can. So
how long have you been there?
I graduated Memorial Day weekend, and I started my job the Monday after. So
wow,
yeah.
Hit the deck running because they're a summer theater.
Yeah, we are a summer stock theater. So my boss kind of put it the best way. I came in at the marathon and didn't have time to train.
Well, that's right, exactly. So, keep running because the marathon's going on.
Yeah, and it hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah, well, it's really a treasure, as I said in my intro, to have the Wagon Wheel in Warsaw. I had the great fortune to see Fiddler on the Roof this summer, and it was a stunning production.
You know, and that was the first time I've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof. As somebody who grew up in the theater, that was the first time I'd ever seen it. And Bob Miller came back, who is an equity actor and who has been on the Wagon Wheel stage for 23 years. Right. And he was fantastic.
He was incredible as Tevye. I mean, and it was funny to read in his bio that it was the first time he'd played Trip.
Because he looks exactly like Tevye.
Yeah, I know. And I thought, well, this guy must play this all over the country. And then to read his bio was his first time. I thought he did a great job. He's really the core of giving that show a lot of heart. And
absolutely.
He certainly did. And for people who who haven't been to Wagon Wheel, which by the way, they should all get out to Wagon Wheel, it is a wheel.
It is. It is one of the only theaters on the rounds left in the country.
Absolutely.
There's only 836 seats at full capacity, and you are never more than 10 rows from center stage.
There's not a bad seat in the house.
No.
I couldn't believe how you have it tiered just the right level so that there's nobody sitting in front of you no matter what seat you're in.
And you know, you could go back 3 or 4 times to see the same production and see something different every single time you saw it.
Right. What a good idea. Buy a seat in a different part of the theater.
Exactly.
I never thought of that.
Then we get so many people there.
That is a great idea. Change your perspective. Go sit in a different seat. See a different show.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Great. Well, what's coming up on the roster at Wagon Wheel?
We are so excited to be doing Jonathan Larson's production of Rent, and it opens September 2nd. It's very new, very different for us. It's an encore show this year. We finished our season. And we wanted to do something a little edgier, something the younger theater community would enjoy. This is something my generation's very attached to.
They're going to run to go see it. Absolutely.
And one of the first times it's done in the round. So it's very unique. I hate sitting in my office right now because they're rehearsing and all I want to do is sit in the lobby and watch them all day long.
Or go join them.
Yeah, exactly. And the cast is really unbelievable. Yeah. So that's our big show that's coming up.
Now, you call it Encore because this is something new for Wagon Wheel.
Yes, it is.
They used to sort of cease and desist in the fall, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe had a Christmas fair of some sort.
We always do a Christmas show, but normally our season ends at the very end of August when the kids are going back to school. But we decided to throw one more show in there after so many people have begged to have another show come back because they love the theater so much. So we wanted to do something a little bit different in that slot.
And something a little challenging to your audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very challenging, but you know, it has very relevant themes in today's world and something that creates a great talking point for today.
Right. Has there been any feedback from your audience about how they feel about this choice?
Very mixed feedback at this point. We in the theater are really excited, so we are trying to run with that. And we're really looking for, like I said, the younger community to come out and see this.
Right. I think that you will find it's a challenge for all theater in America. You know, we've got to get the younger generation. And they're writing musicals that they want to see, and Rent is one of the first big ones that your generation, not mine, excuse me, your generation wants to see. And I would say that if you look at the records across America, when they run that musical, they sell out very easily. So I think you're going to have a great run of that show. How many shows are you doing?
Well, it runs from the 2nd through the 7th
of September. Oh, here next week.
Yeah, it's very quickly. So there's only a few shows. We're really only doing those shows on those nights, except the Saturday show, which does have 2 performances. It does have a matinee and an evening show.
Okay. And ticket information for Wagon Wheel?
The best way to get your tickets and information is go to our website at wagonwheeltheater.org. It gives you all of the phone numbers, everything that you need to see, and it lets you look at the theater from the online perspective, where you can see all the sections that you want to sit.
Oh, so you can purchase tickets and pick your seat, and just like
all
the Broadway
online.
House, you just do all of that on Wagon Wheel.
But for a third of the price.
But for a third of the price, you get the Broadway quality.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, what's coming up after that? I guess I've recently also realized that Wagon Wheel uses the space in a non-theatrical form as well.
Well, we can't survive if we don't keep putting shows on the
Absolutely.
stage. So we are very fortunate to have one of our radio stations in Warsaw, Willie 103, has partnered with us to bring Craig Morgan to the Wagon Wheel. He's a very famous country singer, has big hits all around the country. We're really excited to have him. He's kind of a wild man on stage, too.
Oh,
so
really?
It should be really interesting in a very intimate setting.
In the round?
Yeah, very interesting.
Is he doing one show?
We're doing 2 shows,
Oh, okay.
a 7:30 and a 9:30 show. And again, you can buy your tickets on the website for that one.
And what's the date of that?
The 26th of September.
Okay, wonderful. And then I want to back up before we talk about the rest of the season. So, yeah, you have to meet sort of a payroll. So you guys have a full year-round staff?
We do.
You do?
It's myself, our Director of Operations, Will Dawson, and we have a great assistant in our office, Jamie, and we have women who volunteer to be in our box office.
Wow, okay.
So,
yeah, you've got to keep the theater afloat and get ready for another season next year.
We do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't be able to make it.
Exactly. So what's after Craig?
After Craig Morgan is our Christmas show, which is A Christmas Story the Musical. And we are the first theater regionally to get A Christmas Story the Musical. Our director, Scott Michaels, has a wonderful relationship with MTI, so we get fantastic shows all the time. And this will be during the holiday season.
So it's a regional premiere?
It is.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and again, in the round, so something very, very different.
Yeah, and this, do you do a Christmas show every year? I mean,
we do a Christmas show.
Some sort of Christmas show?
Some sort of holiday show. We don't always have a Christmas theme, but last year we did Sound of Music, so it kind of had a Christmas theme. But
and it's family.
Yeah, we wanted to be about the families at the holiday.
Yeah, I mean, we had some guests on last week from local theater who talked about how hard it is to find a decent Christmas show. They're just not out there.
It's really difficult.
It's really difficult, and everybody wants to do a Christmas show. And we talked about the fact that one of the local theaters is doing Barefoot in the Park. That, you know, if you're not going to do a Christmas show, do a title that is easy and fun and everyone will enjoy because maybe they don't all want to see Christmas every weekend. So that's a great idea. But you've got a premiere coming. That's fantastic.
We do.
And what are the dates of that?
Well, it's a little bit scattered. It'll start in December and run through. There's tons of performances, tons of dates.
Okay.
And the best way to see those dates is look online.
Okay.
Because it does run for quite a significant amount of time.
Do you have any kind of educational program that you have?
We do.
You do for schools or anything?
Well, we partner with the schools at Christmas time, so those matinees our schools get to come to because we want the kids to get involved. And then we also have Wagon Wheel Junior productions. And Wagon Wheel Junior is during our off season, so it's during those few months where we don't have anything going on. And it's a way to keep the theater alive, and it's a way to keep kids in Warsaw have an opportunity for the arts that they don't have in schools.
Wow, I didn't even know about that. Tell me a little bit about that. What months does that run, like January?
Well, it'll run January really through just about the end of April before we get ready for our summer season to start.
So is it like a camp or?
Yeah, well, they're programs. So these kids get the opportunity to come out and audition for roles just like you would in a college or a professional setting. And they have the amount of times that our pros do. So they have 2 weeks to create a production.
Good. That's wonderful. Congratulations. So, well, in the time we have left, let's run through what your season is next summer, if we can.
We start our 60th season next summer, and I'll try and do this as fast as I can, and I have to think about them all in my head because they're so quick. So Little Mermaid is our regional premiere for our family show. We are doing West Side Story, Bye Bye Birdie, The Addams Family the musical, A Midsummer Night's Dream. We finish the season with Little Women the musical, and our encore show is Avenue Q.
Wow. That is an impressive season. Lots of musicals.
Tons. Well, the musicals are what sell for us.
I know.
So.
And, you know, every regional theater has to do that to get people in the seats, and that's okay. You know, that's how you get to do Midsummer Night's Dream.
Exactly.
Because you've done, you know, something before.
And A Midsummer Night's Dream is going to be different. So, but I can't give away the secret.
No, don't give away the secret. We'll come and see it. That'll, yeah. And so your encore next year is Avenue Q.
Avenue Q.
Another adult show, but great fun.
My fiance's absolute favorite, so he's excited.
Well,
completely ecstatic.
It's not my favorite, but it's in my top 10. It's pretty exciting. Well, Rachel, it's a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to Northeast Indiana.
Thank you.
We're really lucky to have you, and Wagon Wheel is especially lucky.
Thank you very much.
I hope I'll get to see you on the stage there sometime.
Oh, I don't know.
I know it's busy being a marketing and development director.
It's busy, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Thank you. Great meeting you. I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. On the next Arts Weekly, we'll hear about 2 fall art festivals, Art at the Riverside and the Eel River Arts Fest from Marsha Wolpe and Renata Robinson. Plus, we'll meet Joe Rickey and Tracy Manning to learn all about Taylor University's fall theater production of Wit. For up-to-the-minute arts updates, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And be sure to join us here Thursday evenings at 7:30 on PBS 39. Thanks for watching Arts Weekly.
Support for Arts Weekly is provided by PBS 39, the Hour Foundation, Martin Tierney, and the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne.
Union City Chamber of Commerce presents the Union City Arts Festival October 10th, 11th, and 12th in Union City, Indiana. Experience culinary, visual, music, and performing arts. More at unioncityartsfestival.org.